So, how do the Proteas bounce back from that defeat against India in the third T20I? I think that's something that we need to chat about on this particular show. We can get into some details about it. We're going to be previewing the fourth T20 against India. So, very important that you guys contribute in the live chat and get involved because I would like to hear your thoughts on this and to test whether your theories are true or how they stack up against my theories, etc. So it will be good to discuss this, seeing that South Africa is going to be playing on Friday in their next match. So it gives you guys 2 days of proper, like, how can I say, strategizing, thinking about things, giving ideas, commenting on this video, sharing your thoughts with all your friends and family. That will help a lot. And also will get the motivation needed that the Proteas need to get over the line here and win the series because they can do it on Friday. But before we get going, before we get started, just a couple of things you need to do. Click that subscribe button if it's red. Click that notification bell to get notified on all future videos that we do. What I also need you guys to do is also smash that like button. It's very important that you do so, as well as comment and share, because that's how we get into recommended feeds and we rank up further on the YouTube algorithm. You can also become a patron today. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all updates. So without further ado, let's get straight into the preview show. Looking forward to discussing this with you. A very good evening, cold evening from Cape Town. This is Cricket Fanatics Magazine. Welcome, guys, to the preview show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with the fourth T20I between South Africa and India. Now, it's going to be an interesting contest, something that we're going to, I think a lot of us are going to be looking forward to because now it is a lot more mouth-watering that India has made it 2-1. But before we get into the actual nitty gritty and speaking about the show, let me first share with you some news that was obviously shared with us earlier today. It is about the game and it's about South Africa specifically, and it's all about Aiden Markram and Quinton de Kock. So the press release today read: Proteas batsman Aiden Markram has been ruled out of the remainder of the Proteas' tour to India. He spent 7 days in quarantine after testing positive for COVID-19 last week. And he will not be able to complete his return to play program in time to take part in the remainder of the T20 series, which is poised at 2-1 to South Africa. The player is healthy and well and has been cleared to return home to also look after his mental and emotional well-being after isolation in local facility as required when an individual tests positive on tour. Wicketkeeper batsman Quinton de Kock has made a marked improvement in his recovery from a wrist injury. The Proteas medical staff will continue to assess his progress and make a decision on his availability for match 4 in due course. So that is just a quick update of what has taken place with regards to the injury concern of with regards to South Africa. Now let's get into some of my opinions on what should happen in this game. I think selection is probably going to be another major talking point again. I didn't see it so much after the first T20I. I think people were pretty happy with the squad that was selected or the team that was selected in the first T20I. But after Quinton de Kock's injury, things went a little bit wonky. Now we got to see Riza Hendricks get 2 opportunities and not do that well in both. And we got to see Hendrik Klaasen also put on a performance as well in both matches. He showed signs that he deserves another opportunity. But I think without Quinton de Kock, we're missing a very important and integral attacking quality at the top of the order. Having two players that are batting at an 100 strike rate in a power play when you're chasing, especially and you're chasing a big total, is not conducive. It's not smart cricket. I feel that they missed a trick over there with regards to that, and I think they should prevent any of these type of scenarios dominating the result or influencing the result by picking a squad that is quite versatile. Now, there are a lot of people that are going to probably agree with what I say over here, and you're probably going to like what I say over here. And and at the same time, I think it's also going to be experimenting still to this degree. But the only reason I do this is because if Quentin de Kock is not available, if Quentin de Kock is not available for me, I would like to bolster our batting lineup. Now, by doing so, I would like to I would probably have to look at someone to drop. Now, first and foremost, maybe Riza Hendricks needs to come out of this lineup and everybody slips up one, and Tristan Stubbs comes in as the batter to replace Riza Hendricks. That is one option that I think could be a pretty good option. Let's see how Rasi can do as an opener, because we have been speaking about it. Does he get bogged down in the power play, or does he have the the confidence to be able to smack the ball out the ring in during the power play. So those things are all very important, and it's all things that we have to take a look at. I think we just were hit by I don't know, lights off for some reason. Weird, but yeah. So there's a lot of things that we can speak about when it comes to the selection. Now, for me, the selection wise, I think that would probably be the best option. But there is another option on the table. Another option is probably to let Keshav go, drop him for this particular match, and then bringing in someone like Tristan in his place to extend the batting lineup. We do know that Tristan has been working on his bowling. Maybe he can provide 2 overs or so in the match. That could be a possibility as well. Particularly with the Brayshams, he's starting to find form right now as well. um, it will take pressure off a guy like Tristan if he needs to bowl a little bit as well. And then you could extend your batting lineup, because I mean we've heard Werner on previous shows say that you might feel that we are a better light. Another scenario though would be to open up with someone like Wayne Parnell. Now it does sound a bit crazy for some people, but the man has opened the batting before in the past, and he's a position that he's maybe not shy to, and it could take the pressure of Temba Bavuma to be the aggressor in the opening power play, completely the aggressor. I would like to see Temba Bavuma play a lot more. I wouldn't say conservative, but a lot more stroke play. Focus on playing strokes into the gaps, playing good cricket shots to get his boundaries and to increase the strike rate, because that's also an option. We can see a lot of batters that have taken that attitude. They've played with freedom. They've played um, with good cricket strokes and technical strokes, and found gaps to move up their strike rate and to get a good performance in the power play, which is very important to set up an innings. Now, if South Africa is going to pick Riza Hendricks again in this particular T20, I would like to see us bat first if we win the toss, because I think we stand a bigger chance with this type of team to bat first rather than chase in these situations right now, with India coming into good form and their batters coming into good form. There's also some question marks perhaps over Anrich Nokia's current form. I mean, he's been plastered to the boundary quite easily these days. I mean, it's tricky to be a quick bowler as quick as him, because even his slower deliveries are like 130. So it's not like he's bowling slow for his slower deliveries. So even if they get some sort of edge, or he misses his spot, he goes to the boundary quite quickly, which can be something that um, is an issue, and it's a problem obviously for the South African bowling lineup, because it can take away all the pressure. One bad over from one of our bowlers and the pressure is off. You could have been bowling amazing pressure, and then all of a sudden, boom, gone. I mean, you could see as well from an India perspective how India approach things. I mean, at first, in the third T20I, what happened when we were a bit loose in the power play and they came after us, and then afterwards, what happened? South Africa tightened up, had a couple of good overs, and put the pressure back on India again to reduce it to go to past 250. So that was a good move, I think. So yeah, I've got Werner with me. He says I'm looking lonely a little bit. But welcome. Thanks for giving me thanks for bringing me company. So how are you doing, Werner? First and foremost, the news that it broke recently, we know Aiden Markram is going to go flying back down to South Africa, so we're not going to see him open the batting. Do you think we should stick with the same team, or do you think that what I suggested, for example, to bring Tristan Stubbs in, move everybody up, drop Reza Hendricks, or do you think maybe we can throw in an extra batter, drop Keshav or one of the bowlers, and then move everybody up the order? Um, I mean, or not move everybody, keep everybody the same. Sorry. What is your thoughts on selection when it comes to the next T20I?
Yeah, it's tricky without Markram because then we don't have that sixth bowling option if we do bring in Stubbs, unless they give Stubbs a couple of overs. But I don't know how confident he is in his own bowling just yet to throw him in into a international match to ask him to bowl before he even had a bat yet. So we'll see what they do decide. It is an option to bring him in for Keshav potentially, and then but then we only have the five bowlers, so it will be a big call. And I know that Timba loves to have some options in the middle, especially if the spinners tend to go. He wants that six bowling option so that he can balance things out. So it's not going to be an easy call. I probably don't see too many changes. I don't think they're going to change up top of Reza Hendricks and Temba Bavuma. Um, it's probably going to stick the same. I don't like that top order necessarily. It doesn't look very destructive.
Mm,
Um, but hopefully they come good. We do know that Riza was in very good form for the Lions and in the SAA series, so hopefully he can bring some of that form tomorrow. Unless Quinny comes back in tomorrow, then it would be a straight swap
mm,
for me. I would personally rest Andrich Norke. I'd give Lungi Ringiri a go. He hasn't had any game time. I'd just love to see him play a bit. Give him the last two matches. Let him go there, show what he can do. I mean, he's obviously been doing a lot of practice. So let's see him play in a game a bit. So that's how I would go. I would give Andrich Norke a rest.
mhm. And just to update everybody on the news that we did say at the beginning of the show, Quentin de Kock is going under assessment right now. So obviously they're going to check him and see if he's ready to play, and he is up for selection if he's ready. For the fourth. So we could very much see him come back in. I think we need that to happen. I think we need him to come back into that top order to this to ensure that we actually can score a decent total in the power play, because I think that's going to be a problem whether you're chasing or you're setting up. It's very important that we get a good start. Um, that start yesterday by India was the one thing that I feel put pressure on South Africa throughout the match. That was the area of the game that where I think South Africa basically lost it, because constantly even the commentators were referring to that consistently. Oh, South Africa's falling behind the run rate here in the power play in the opening overs. They constantly got throttled by what India did in their opening, and it's very difficult because that mentally that can destroy you if you're not getting the same purchase as out of the pitch or out of the wicket or out of the opposition bowlers like your opposition is when they backed it. So it's going to be tricky, but I don't think that this playing with both Riza and Temba is an option if you want to win this match. I don't, unless there's some craziness that happens between the two of them and they just come out there full of confidence and start smacking the ball around and playing a whole different game plan, which I highly doubt. So it will be interesting to see that. Let's talk about Wayne Parnell. I think that's something that is must be spoken about as well. I've been quite impressed what I've seen with him, both with the bat and ball. Even though he never went crazy yesterday with the bat, he did show some signs that he can hold the bat and stick in at an end. Some people have even been suggesting that he should open the batting with Timber if Kwani is not available. I mean, I know he's done it in the past, but I mean, is that another risk that you would want to take, Werner, at this particular stage when you need to win a match?
No, it's not what I would do. I'd rather have Rossi open then with Timber, and then shift the other players up a spot. I'd still love to see David Miller come in at four. I mean, Markram is not there, so why not have? If you're going to open with Timber and Reza, then have Rossi at three and Miller at four. I'd have Miller still coming in ahead of Klaasen, even though Klaasen did do very well in that second match. I do think that Miller can do with a bit more time at the crease. I don't think it's necessary for him to be held back any longer. So I'd play him a bit up the order. Yeah, it's a difficult one with Riza. I don't think he's the right partner for Timber as a backup. I think we need somebody that's a bit more destructive as a backup when he does get injured. I don't know who the right option is right now. Janeman Milan hasn't quite taken his opportunities. Maybe we should take, though this year is probably not the right year because we're very close to the World Cup, but maybe we should take a punt on somebody like a Wesley Marshall, who we know what approach he's going to take. It might look a bit reckless at points, but in T20s, that's the type of guy you can say, okay, go out there as opener, just try to smash it, and if it comes off, it comes off, and if it doesn't, we have a whole good middle order to make use of it. But to have a guy bat 20 balls for 23, 24, 25 runs, it's not serving the purpose in a T20 match.
Yeah, true. So yeah, I mean, you made all valid points over there, and it makes it interesting because we're going to have to play. We were hoping that this would be a momentum building thing, that we wouldn't get any injuries. We were hoping, and that we bat the same team. I saw someone actually ask me about Pavuma and saying, because I think you posted that stat actually on Twitter, that Pavuma's record as a captain in T20s is lower. His strike rate is lower than what it was before. Now I have a little, not an argument, but a counter to that. When Pavuma took over the captaincy, almost instantly he got injured. Like, it wasn't so soon afterwards that he picked up an injury. And then also when he came back from that injury, there was some momentum in that opening pair. And then they moved him down to 3 and they moved him down all over the place. So when he was captain, he actually never got picked consistently in a position. So I think that also makes it difficult for Temba to build a game plan if he doesn't know what his role in the side is, because your role in the side as a number 3 or number 4 is completely different to an opening batter. Because some majority of the time when you come in as a 3 or 4, you're not coming in the power play, you're coming in afterwards if they get a good start. But if you are number 3 in South Africa, you need to be able to know how to open too, because because we always seem to be losing wickets at the top of the order, 1 wicket. And when it comes to Riza, I think Riza was more of a Temba replacement than a Quinny replacement in theory at the beginning when they picked him. I don't think they had in mind, oh, we're going to replace Quinny with Riza if Quinny gets injured. I don't think that was a play. I think that was more of a replacement for Riza Hendricks. I think Janeman should be a replacement for Quinny if you want to talk about more attacking batters. But when you look at Janeman's stats last season in the CSA T20 Challenge, it wasn't anything to write home about. So I don't know if they use those stats to determine whether they're going to select him or not. Because if you look at the selection, the only player that basically hasn't been looked at is Peter Malan, that had a strike rate of 119 or 120, and Vian Libber, who never got an opportunity, who I thought would have been an interesting one to pick for this particular series. I think he was one of the best players or best batters for the Warriors this season, and he really put on excellent performances. But then depends what role you want to play him in. Is it 1, 2, 3? Like he's going to be playing for the Warriors, I'm thinking, for the future? Or do you see him as a finisher, number 6, in that Stubbs position that can also bowl as an all-rounder? So it is interesting. We mustn't forget that Stubbs can bowl a little bit. I'm sure he will be able to handle 1 or 2 overs. I mean, that can take a lot of pressure off everyone else if he can do so. And if he can keep those 2 overs to under 15 runs over 2 overs, I think that's a decent return. If he can do that, that would be a decent return for him. So I think Stubbs is the right call. I would have liked to see him play on this tour, and with his injuries, I don't want this to be an excuse to say, oh no, we couldn't play Stubbs. There's an opportunity to play him. There is an opportunity right now. And Rassi isn't unfamiliar with the opening position either. He has played that opening position before. It's not like he's completely unfamiliar. And I think the conditions, well, so far have suited Rassi for a power play stunt, because I think he can come out and play with a little bit more freedom and not worry about getting caught out or getting or you can play a little bit more of an aggressive game and try to clear the circle and the ring. And he has the power game to be able to do so. And also, Rassi and Pavuma, they understand each other quite well. So running between the wickets, we know that that is going to be happening because they do both have that in them. Although Rassi recently has been found to be caught in a lot of dot ball situations when we could have ran and he says no. So we want. I think that's something that South Africa also need to improve. Definitely, we've spoken about it on this channel so many times, Werner, that they need to look for those singles, look for those doubles, try to increase the scoring rates.
Yeah, it has been a problem, especially Rasi and even Timba have faced a lot of dot balls in the series, and it puts pressure not only on them but the batter at the other side as well. It kind of forces them to look for the big shot when it's not necessary in some circumstances. Obviously, if you're chasing 200 plus or 180 and you're already behind the rate, then you have to look for the big shots. But we get into those positions because of the amount of dot balls we have been facing, especially those two I mentioned, and Riza Hendricks in the last game as well. And the problem is those are three out of your top four,
Mm,
and if three of your top four are struggling to get it away and is compiling a bunch of dot balls, it just leaves too much for David Miller and Heinrich Klaassen to do. Even if Stubbs comes in, it'll leave too much for him to do as well. Though I would love to see him play, I'd still bring him in for Keshav Maharaj. I just don't know if they're going to do that. But
mm.
I'd love for him to play the last two matches definitely. I'm trying to think who else is there in the squad that they can try out as well. Marco Janssen, they could probably also try, but I don't know how many changes they're going to make for these final two. Maybe they want to try and win the series first and then give more opportunities. If they can win the next one, otherwise, in any case, go to a decider on Sunday. So I'm not sure how they're going to decide to go. But yeah, definitely important to limit those dot balls, get the strike rotating, and then yeah, they have to get more boundaries in the power play. We can't getting 2-3 boundaries in the power play, and then after 6 overs we're 30 for 2, 30 for 3, or whatever it might be. It's just not good enough. We need to aim at least 50, and it doesn't have to be 50 without loss. It can be 50 for 2, but we need to make a lot better use of it.
Yeah, very, very true. Okay, Lorenzo asks us a question over here. He says to the both of us, if Temba Bavuma doesn't perform at the World Cup and SF falls short, must that be the last of him in T20 nationals? I think so. Now, that's a very, I know that is a very, maybe it will be a controversial answer, but I do think so. I think he's been given quite a bit of chances now, particularly, and at the age that he is at the more at this time, we want to see more. I would rather want to see youngsters be given the amount of chances that Temba Bavuma has been given, rather because I think they will get a lot more out of it than that Temba will. The whole point of me wanting to see him play every match here as an opener now is so that he can show and get momentum and confidence in the position so he can be at his best in the World Cup. Because we're going to need him at his best in that World Cup. He's going to have to play out of his skin, I feel, to be the best partner he possibly can be for Quinton. If he doesn't perform during this World Cup, I think we need to start thinking about the future in T20 cricket. If we want to take T20 cricket seriously and we want to try and win World Cups in T20 cricket, and it's not going to be a format that we take lightly, then I would like to see a change there. Perhaps maybe an Aiden Markram taking over the captaincy in T20 cricket because we'll most likely have a very young team. So I think Aiden will be probably the best option to take that new generation forward into the future because he's in between the seniors and the younger players. He's like slap bang in the middle. You've got your Quintons, you've got your KGs, etc., like that. And I think KG and Aiden kind of fit into that leadership role then, between a buffer between them and the more experienced players like Rassi. Um, you can't Quinton and KG are, well, they're similar ages, so you can't really throw them in. But with regards to the amount of cricket played, I think Quinton falls into that experience bracket as well. David Miller too. You got David Miller there as well. So Keshav and Tabrei Shamsi coming along as well. So I think they will be able to build a nice, strong team around Aiden for me personally. And I think he needs to lead from the front, open the batting with Quinny. be the future of South African cricket in that position. And then we can bring in the likes of Theo Valprevis, Tristan Stubbs, all of these young attacking players that we think of. We can stack that middle order with these young attacking players. So that's how I see the future going. But if Temba doesn't perform, if Temba does perform and he is doing well in T20s and he performs well in this World Cup, then he keeps his place, in my opinion. What's your thoughts, Werner?
Yeah, agreed. I'm hoping he will turn things around and have a big impact in the World Cup. Um, but I've said for a while now, I don't think he quite has the T20 game necessary to cut it at the international level. But I'm hoping he will prove me wrong. Um, I'm hoping he manages to really dominate the power play, and that's what I've been asking. I don't need him to bat until over 15, over 16. I need him to really attack the power play, and give strike to Quinny, and then maybe a little bit after the power play, and that's good enough for me. If he can go at a strike rate of 130, even 130 is fine. If he can do that, I'd be more than happy. But he can't be batting at 120. I need 130, 135, and that I would be okay with that. But if he is unable to do that and he doesn't deliver at the World Cup, then I do suspect he might continue as ODI captain, but maybe not um, T20 captain. And then we can look at different opening partnership options. Maybe give Yanaman Milan another go as an opener, and maybe try some other players out as well. Still plenty of time in David Miller's career. Rossi just needs to figure out a way to start quicker in his innings, because we know how destructive he can be once he gets going, and at the back end, he really lays into the bowlers. He just needs to find some way to get himself going a bit quicker.
Mhm. So we've got an interesting question from Marwan Krill. Who is the next black batsman to come in after? I'm assuming you mean the black African batsman to come in after the World Cup. We have to thinking about it. I honestly feel Makanya is the best option right now. He's young and shows some good talent. Now, I like Makanya, and I think he should be. He was hard done by to not make the SAA team. Even I thought that he will at least get that opportunity, and he didn't. But he's also a number five, number four, number five middle order type of batter. So it's another one that we're bringing into the system, that we're going to be competing with Randy Klassen, David Miller, Tristan Stubbs, all of these players. Even to a degree, you could say Aiden Markram, dependable on who you're selecting in the team. So for me, you mentioned Ngwepe. I think he needs another. He thinks he needs to show consistency. I think this is the one season that he stood out. I mean, he hasn't had the best of times in the domestic game. We have to admit that. I mean, with an average of 20 or something like that, it's a proof of that. And he's 30 years old. So we're going to need him to step up more consistently and have another big season for his franchise. Um, Tony DeZorzi is another option. He is counted as Black African, guys. I think he has a Black African father, so he does count as a Black African batter. So he's another person that comes into the mix as well, possibly as an opener, particularly because we're missing that. We're missing. Actually, we're just missing Black African batters in general in this country. It's a struggle, and it has been a struggle for quite some time. We need to try and fix that. We've written loads of articles on it, loads of issues of the magazine on how we can do that. So hopefully, Cricket South Africa can start putting some proper things in place, to be able, or structures in place to be able to develop that. Is there anybody that you can think of, Werner, that you can say, at least get an opportunity in some games or in the SAA side that could possibly be selected in the South African side?
Not really. You've mentioned the ones I was thinking about. I've been impressed with the way Lesiba Ngwepe has been striking the ball for the Warriors. I think he's been doing a very good job since being promoted up the order by Robbie P. I think that's been a very good call, and it's been a positive change in his career this season. So that's been good to see. I do have a lot of hope for Tony DeZorzi as well. I think initially he struck me as a limited overs ball striker, but his first class game actually has come
Mm.
on a long way. So it'll be interesting. I like the look of Andile Savalane at the under 19 World Cup. Hopefully you'll be getting a more permanent spot at the Dolphins within the next year or two, to get himself going there. He definitely has good striking power with the bat, and he was pretty consistent with the ball as well. So I have some hope for somewhere along the line that it will become easier for us to pick players of color or of black African batters. Hopefully, we do need a lot more black African batters stepping up and competing with the top of the rest of the domestic scene. It's all good and well to say, okay, let's bring a black African batter in, but he needs to be there as good as the other guys who's competing for a spot there. So it is a tough one. There's not as we haven't been able to mention a lot, so it's clearly still a bit of a struggle at this stage, but hopefully, hopefully somewhere soon that will change.
Mhm. And I see and D. Milani, you mentioned him as well. I watched a lot of those a lot of those under 19 World Cup too, especially the batting, because I wanted to see what's happening down the order over there, what's happening in the setup, how are they approaching their batting techniques, etc. There's still a lot of development to do with a lot of these players. I mean, if we're speaking about Deva Brev as being someone that needs some development still, imagine the rest of them, because the consistency wasn't there from any of them. Ethan Cunningham was disappointing. Even Valentine was very disappointing. I really thought he was going to come to the fold. He has excellent technique. He maybe
Mm.
needs some guidance and some longer some game time here more at his franchise now. But I'm going to throw someone into the mix that could really possibly really surprise people in the next few years, and it's Hanabe from Poland. I know he's a keeper batter. Um, I've heard some great stories about him, even about these Cobras trials basically that he had, and hits the ball very brave. I think he just needs some guidance to just get some consistency, etc. I mean, the boy came from a township and then got picked up to play for Poland immediately. So it was a massive jump for him from where he was before and where he is now. So I think he needed time to settle, a year to settle, and then to really try and go for it and try to show what he's capable of. Because very talented player, I think he has a lot of guts, and I think he has a lot of yeah, he has a lot of guts in him, and he has a lot of confidence that his confidence will grow as he plays more. Because there was a little story that I heard that he was in the nets at the Cobras and he was getting plastered, like taking blows everywhere. Every like his elbow, his chest, everywhere. He was ducking for bounces, and and people were like, "Where did they get this guy from? Like, where did he come from?" And then the next day, he walked out to the middle to play and he scored a 60. So, like, it was insane. The contrast, the amount, how quickly he learned and picked up things. So I'm hoping that that can happen with him, that he can continuously grow.
Yeah,
Talking about talking
that's a
about
good point.
Copeland, someone over there speaking about Copeland.
Mm.
Copeland has a lot of work to do. It's
Yeah,
very
he
clear,
does.
very clear. I mean, I honestly, when I saw those little clips of him scooping and smacking the ball around and playing senior men's cricket is completely different for some kids. For some guys, they don't ease in as quickly as others. Vian Mulder was a guy that took to domestic cricket like he was a senior pro. Some people do take to it like that. Others don't. Others need some time off or some exposure or some regular game time before they can really get it. I mean, Daniel Smith was actually one of the most talented boys spoken about at that Kaya Majolo week. He was the captain of under 19, and he's now moved to VP Blitz and he's playing there for them. And it took some time for him to really show what he's capable of. He had to really adapt to the conditions, to the adapt to the speed or the pace or the consistency that he needed in the patience game. And that 4-day cricket patience that you learn is so important even in your T20 game. So I think some of our youngsters need to go back and learn those things, because I think they are quite far from comparing them to the likes of the guys that are playing in the IPL already. I mean, a lot of those Indian players um, would have been exposed to some decent cricket before they played that World Cup. But what's your thoughts on our youngsters coming through? I mean, we need to keep an eye on a lot of these youngsters, but also we need to give them the time to develop.
Yeah, we definitely do. I was actually very surprised to see Ethan Cunningham getting a contract with VP Blitz already after what really was a massive struggle for him at the Under 19 World Cup. Obviously, has a lot of talent and he has a lot of power. But it'll be interesting to see if he does get an opportunity, how they will use him. Hopefully, not as an opener. Um, he was all over the place. Any time that the Bulls had a bit of movement, so hopefully they use him in the middle order as somebody who can come in and strike some lasty blows. But in general, our youngsters, I'm definitely keeping an eye out on all the guys I saw at the Under 19 World Cup, where they will end up. I was actually hoping to see Matthew Boast get a team somewhere, but I haven't seen him being slotted in anywhere so far. I'd love to see more of him because he had some proper pace on him, and he was able to hit those sixes at the Under 19 World Cup. Obviously, it's different at senior level, but I thought he had the potential to get in somewhere. I think George van Heerden is just a level below it at Boerland right now. It's just a level below the senior team, but Valentine Katime and Michael Copeland both made it in there before him. Obviously, different roles.
Is he at
Um,
Poland? George van Heerden.
I believe so. I think he made his debut for like the Boerland.
Oh, Philip.
Um,
I didn't know that. I thought he was with EP.
I could be wrong, so it's always good to check up on me. I could obviously be wrong, but I believe I saw him in the purple clothing. Um,
Interesting.
but yeah, do follow up and see where he is. I'm sure you can hear from him yourself as well.
Yeah.
Where
I need
exactly
to
he
actually.
is these days. It
Yeah,
might
I
be
need
good
to ask.
to get a few shows after the series about where are the under 19 guys right now. What is their plans for the future? Those that don't have contracts right now. Um, it's always interesting to me what is their backup plans because not all players that play the under 19 World Cup necessarily make it at the professional level in cricket,
Hmm.
um, which is a bit of a tough discussion, I know, but it is an interesting topic
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, so I do think that George is just below the Burland level right now.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's interesting to see he's playing for the cult side, as they say. The Boland cult side. Lorenzo says in the comment section. I actually need to get a hold of him and have a chat with him if he's here because that
Yeah,
it
that's
makes it
what I
even
thought. I
easier.
thought he was there, so probably is.
Yeah. Because when I look on Crick Info, it says that he's played T20 games, but only for his under 19. So that's it. I think it's when they played against.
Yeah, and that T20
Yeah,
knockout
in the T20.
competition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he has a lot of, but you see, then again, it's again middle order batters that we're talking about there. It's that opening partnerships that we need to. I mean, Yanaman Malan needs to get to the level that we know he's capable of. I really still feel that he has some issues to iron out with regards to spin.
he
Uh,
really underperformed in that CSA T20 challenge. I mean, he
yeah.
started off like fire in every innings, and then he just got out. He really needs to be be pushing harder than that. He can't be settling for a 30 of 16 deliveries, and that's that.
Mm. Can I ask you a little bit more about Andrich? Because I think it's something that we can maybe speak about. I mean, I know it's got a lot to do with match rhythm, injury, and then coming back so quickly. I'm trying to, he's struggling to find that inch perfect like deliveries that go exactly where he wants it to go. For him personally, being as quick as he is, if you just miss your mark by the slightest, you go to the boundary. So, what do you think he needs to do? Because I mean, even his slow deliveries are like 135. So it's not like it's not like he can bowl a 120 slower delivery that can really catch out the batter. Because the ball, if you just get some bat on ball, it's going to fly to the boundary. So, what sort of variations do you think that he can add to his game? We know that he has added the Yorker to his game, but is there anything else that a fast-paced bowler of his speed can add to their game to be a little bit more effective in the T20 arena? Because I mean, he was obviously hoping on the fact that he's just going to beat people with pace and get his wickets that way.
He was very effective at the T20 World Cup, and I think up till this series, obviously now the long injury layoff, his economy rate was like 6.5 and over in T20 internationals, which is exceptional. But the injury has really set him back. You can see that. he hasn't been. I think the main thing is he hasn't been hitting areas consistently. He's been over pitching a lot um, early on in his spell, and that has cost him because it's all well and how good to have pace, but if you don't hit a good area, they will still hit you away. Especially somebody like a Ishan Kishan who loves the extra pace um, coming on to the bat. So I think it's yeah, he can work on variations, but he has a very good Yorker. I think he needs to use his bouncer more effectively as well. In terms of slow deliveries, it can become a bit predictable sometimes. I've seen him work on that back of the hand slower ball, and it can work. But then again, it's important to land it in the right area. It's no use you bowl a back of the hand slower ball, but you bowl it right into the slot, and then they can just line you up again. So I think it's more an execution thing than it is a variation thing for Andrich Norke.
Mhm. True. Okay, predictions. Let's just get into that quickly. Werner, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? I mean, personally, we need a win. I think South Africa can't leave it to the last. I think, I don't think we'll be able. I don't know. We might be able to get over the line, and it will obviously create a lot more excitement for all of us if we get over the line in the last game. But I don't want to be living on the dangerous side. I want our prediction to come through, and I want to know that it's going to come through. So I want to secure it as early as possible. So yeah, your thoughts.
Yeah, let's say we're gonna win. I want us to win. Hopefully, I think it's going to come down to how good can we start with the bat this time. Because if we're again 30 for 2, 30 for 3 after the power play, you're always going to struggle to win a T20 match if that's how you start. So I think I'll base it on where we are after the power play when we're batting. In terms of bowling as well, we need to pick up early wickets. If the opening partnership gets away again, that just sets up the whole game for India, and the strikers come in the middle. So it's probably I think it's going to come down to the power play in both innings, how we set it up. But I'm hoping for a win from us. And before we go, I'm very happy to see that Donovan Ferrara has finally got the contract with the Titans. It's well deserved.
Yeah, very well deserved. We were speaking about it on our show with him,
Mm,
and he's so happy. I'm so happy for him. I'm actually going to drop him a message to say congratulations. But guys, just to let you in, the guys that have just tuned in, to let you know, Markland's been sent back home. Quentin de Kock is under evaluation to see if he's going to be ready for the fourth T20. So let's see what happens on Friday. Yeah, Bill.
just on that quickly, why did they wait so long to send Markram back? Because it's not like something changed, right? Or unless didn't hear something, because he was always going to at least miss the first 3 games, and he would have to do 7-day isolation. So if they knew he won't have enough time to recoup to get up to speed after the 7-day isolation, why not send him back immediately?
Because I think the reason why is because they first had to test him, and then they had to see if he was also healthy again with regards to taking the plan that they have some sort of training plan that they need to take before they can come back and play. So I think that's the reason why he probably did that, and it didn't go as well as they hoped. He's healthy though, but not healthy enough to maybe play. So and because they spoke about mental, and they spoke about mental wellness in the thing as well. Being in the isolation for 7 days as well. They spoke about that. Also bubble to bubble, all of those type of things. We don't know um, what happened between those two when moving there from India. I mean, moving from the camp that he was at to obviously this Proteas camp. He obviously went into isolation immediately, and they spoke about mental as well. So I think they just decided to maybe give him a break, seeing that he's been through all of that. Uh, uh, that's the only thing that makes sense to me logically. That he maybe
Yeah,
he did. They wanted him to do the plan, and he maybe couldn't. He's maybe not fit enough yet, because COVID can kill you with regards to fitness. I've heard. So I haven't gotten
yeah.
it yet. So
It does kind of mess with your breathing a bit.
yeah. So maybe he did feel effects a little bit differently um, than maybe some other players. So that will be interesting. Yeah, I don't mean okay. I know there's no bubbles anymore necessarily, but I meant from the camp, moving from the one camp to the next camp, and then going into isolation immediately. That could be an issue. But yes, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. South Africa will play on Friday in the next match. I'm looking forward to it to see. We will be doing a little small preview tomorrow as on the site on cricketfanaticsmag.com. Actually, Abai is actually putting that together, so go ahead and read that tomorrow. You'll see that tomorrow on the site, with this preview as well attached to it. But also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Please smash that like button, comment, and share. Also, become a patron today. Link is on the screen as well as in the description as well. So, yeah, I enjoyed this episode. Thanks a lot, Werner, for keeping me company. It would have been otherwise it would have probably been me alone talking to the guys. So thanks a lot for bailing me out. All the fans that joined in, thanks a lot. Put your teams in the comment section after this video has gone live. I would like to hear what your teams are for the game. Tomorrow we'll do a little prediction game with you guys so that you guys can pick your 11 and who you want to see play from the squad that is available. Please don't be throwing Faf's name in there and Riley Lasso's name in there from the squad that's
It's
available,
youth
please.
day, so throw the young guys in.
Yeah, so guys, I hope you guys enjoy your day and the rest of your evening, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Werner, thanks a lot. Peace.